Yo, what's up, YouTube? Back at it again. On page 8, the first paragraph in the lesson. When the masters perceived that they were nearing the end of the cycle of power in Teotihuacan, they were sufficiently elevated to do the same thing that Scripture tells us Jesus did. They ascended. They left their physical bodies, became one with the light, and ascended to the sun. Left behind was a vacuum of leadership among the group of spiritual aspirants who were at various levels of learning, but not yet at the stage of mastery. When an invasion of barbarians from the north overtook Teotihuacan, the remaining Toltecs in training were unable to withstand them. Many died. The barbarians intermarried with the people of Teotihuacan and attempted to adapt Toltec spiritual practices to their more primitive beliefs and jealous gods who demanded human sacrifice. I didn't know that was a thing. The bodies that have been discovered buried beneath the Pyramid of the Sun at Teotihuacan are probably those of the spiritual seekers who defied the invaders and were ritually murdered. Corruption overcame Teotihuacan. Around the year 700 AD, it was abandoned as a spiritual center. Its temples were deliberately buried. 20th century archaeologists are uncovering the site and making it accessible again in time to coincide on an esoteric level with the emergence of the sixth humanity. There was an exodus of the remaining Toltecs in training from Teotihuacan. Some of them went south and merged with the Mayans, who were at that time in a state of complete decadence. From that merger of the Toltecs and Mayans came the new Mayan Imperium. Others formed a new community at Tula, where the first knowledge of the Toltec masters was retained. Little organizations in the villages tried to preserve the knowledge like a religion. The villages fought for control. The high priest came from the most powerful city in the Tula area. The high priest was considered the incarnation of Quetzalcoatl, the feathered serpent, who was one of the twin brothers. The other twin was Smoky Mirror. In the Toltec religion, these twins were the representation of the Nagual and the Tonal. They took turns carrying these two energies. At times, Smoky Mirror carried the Nagual energy while Quetzalcoatl carried the Tonal energy. Then they would reverse places. The Toltec knowledge was eventually corrupted by the leaders of Tola, who succumbed to temporal power. They misused the silent knowledge of Teotihuacan in their efforts to escape death. Miguel says some of the worst black magicians in the world has ever known were there. They turned Quetzalcoatl into a demon in much the same way that later powerful Christians used the name of Jesus as a demon. What? The Aztecs became the most powerful little country in Mexico. They built Temple Mayor in Mexico City and tried to instill the wisdom from Tula. The Aztecs became the new Toltecs. Two groups of spiritual warriors among the Aztecs preserved the Toltecs' wisdom for 500 years following the Spanish conquest. They were the Jaguar Knights, who were warriors in training, and the Eagle Knights, who were fully trained Naguals. Jaguar Knights were initiated into death in a ceremonious ritual involving water and fire, during which they renounced fear, anger, and jealousy. After their training and initiation, they saw the world in a new way, as a world of justice. Then they became Eagle Knights. The highest of Eagle Knights was the Tawatoni. I don't know how to say that. The representative of God and earth. Any Eagle Knight could be a whatever that word is. Miguel's family were Eagle Knights. The eagle represents divinity. All Eagle Knights, even to the present day, are in a daily contact with divinity. They are in a state of constant happiness. The practices they follow to achieve an awareness of bliss were also followed in ancient India, Egypt, and Greece, and remain as living traditions among native people. In early times, Teotihuacan was connected worldwide with many other sacred centers. All of them shared the same basic silent knowledge. The Toltec way of life promotes a perfect equilibrium of body, mind, and soul. In most traditions, some functions of the body are judged to be undesirable. Elevated spiritual warriors who follow the Toltec way are not required to be celibate. A basic tenet of their belief is to respect the human body as the temple, perfect just as it is. The effort of the Toltecs is to become fearless, without judgment, without victimization, and in a state of love. Miguel makes frequent references to other traditions. He has a special love for the Bible and the story of the life of Christ. He also reveres the memory of the Buddha. In his lectures, he connects the Toltec way to the lives of these avatars. All paths, he says, are basically the same, but the major religions have all been infiltrated with guilt, judgment, and fear. The lineage of Miguel Angel Ruiz. Miguel is the 13th child of famed healer mother Sarita. During his early childhood, she was locally known curandera, or healing woman. When Miguel was 11 years old, Sarita became seriously ill with gallstones. The doctors wanted to operate, but an underlying heart disease makes general anesthesia dangerous. Sarita's mother took her to a familiar healing center for psychic energy. During this procedure, Sarita had a vision of a doctor and 3 nurses operating on her gallbladder. She asked for them when she opened her eyes, but the only person there was the medium. The surgery healed Sarita of both of her gallstones and her heart problem. Thereafter, she dedicated her life to healing others by using her inherited wisdom. Miguel was brought up with an awareness that another dimension beyond the visual affects the material level of reality. His older brothers and sisters told Miguel of the times they had sat around the fire with their maternal grandparents, long before Miguel was born. Hearing the stories of the little people who lived nearby, his siblings saw such creatures playing in the trees around the house. The town of his mother's birth, Juana Calan, was a special place. What Miguel calls a magical town. One of the town's residents, Don Nichito, owned the pharmacy, and served as a substitute for a doctor. He liked to give gifts to children, especially gifts of money. My brothers used to get money from him. He would make the money. He said to my older brother, "I'm going to put a coin in this box. It's yours. Put it under your pillow. Every day we'll have another coin inside." His brother waited to open the box until driven by curiosity, but when he opened it, he found it was filled with coins. Hearing these extraordinary tales while he was growing up conditioned Miguel to accept that there is a magical level of life beyond the visible, everyday world. In his third year of medical school, Miguel had his own traumatic introduction to this other dimension during a violent car accident. When he had an out-of-body experience, from then on his inner visions accelerated. Miguel graduated from the University of Medical School. He then served for 1 year in the village of Alta Sonora in the Sonora Desert. Miguel Ruiz. It was a whole year of wonderful experience. I met frequently with a master who was a skinny man in his late 40s, about 5'5" tall, named Don Esteban. He took me as his apprentice. He showed me amazing things, and he taught me to go deep into the dream state and to explore the dream. Don Esteban took me into a cave where he taught me a way to control the elements with an invocation. It is a powerful way to control the energy between life and death, a way to communicate with the different organs of the planet, like the wind, the water, and the forest. He made me face most of my fears. He always challenged my reason, challenged my intelligence, and mainly challenged my personal importance. He taught me the way to be humble and to respect everything that is just the way it is. He taught me to respect nature and to respect humans just the way they really are. Don Esteban was a wonderful man. He was powerful, loving, and kind. But every time I saw him, I knew he was going to challenge my fears. I always wore a defensive mask with him. 1 year after I left the town, I went back looking for him, and it was a big surprise to find that nobody knew him. No one had ever heard of him. It was as though he never existed. In those little towns, everyone knew each other. Then I began to doubt in my mind whether he really had been born in flesh and blood, or was he just another state of consciousness in which I made him in the way I preferred him to be. Today, I understand that there was a close connection between my grandfather, Don Leonardo, and Don Esteban. After serving for 1 year as a village doctor, Miguel joined his two older brothers, both doctors and surgeons, and established his medical practice in Tijuana in 1978. 1980, Sarita asked Miguel to begin an apprenticeship with her. Each Sunday throughout his intensive training for the next 3 years, he spent between 8 and 12 hours in trance. In an altered state of consciousness, he journeyed to ancient Egypt, Greece, India, China, and Persia, and learned their belief systems. These experiences had the same vividness and authenticity as traveling in real life. Miguel's etheric journeys yielded such valuable, authentic information about these historic traditions that he could compare them with contemporary Hinduism, Buddhism, Zoroastrianism, and Christianity. He concluded that all systems of belief have a similar core: trance travel to Egypt. One Sunday during the second year of Miguel's apprenticeship, 21 of Sarita's apprentices, including 3 of Miguel's brothers, gathered with her and Luis. They were going to enter the trance state. The practice was familiar to Miguel. He had been trained by the old man who served as his teacher in the desert, where Miguel served his year of public service as a newly graduated doctor. He moved easily into his dream state, where he found himself in a long underground hallway. Although he knew he was dreaming, he had a vivid experience. In real time, the trance dream lasted 8 hours. In dream time, it encompassed nearly a year. Miguel Ruiz. I was in the entrance. Behind me, I heard a door shut, and I was inside a hall illuminated by torches. I knew from experience I could control my dreams as if I were awake. No aspect of dream scared me, yet this dream was different. I was in another reality, and I could not control it. This dream exists, and the memory of the planet is available to anyone who has the training to enter it. A tall, skinny, bald man appeared to me. He was dressed in a wrapped Egyptian garment of white cotton. He seemed to be 50 or 60 years old. Around his eyes there was a strong dark shadow. He held himself severely in an authoritarian posture. I knew I would be tested. Since I could not control the dream, I decided to be a stalker. This means I would have to be acutely aware of everything that happened to me and in me throughout the dream. I opened my ears and determined to learn as much as I could from the man, not only from his words, but from his attitude as well. He was clearly a learned man. He impressed me. I could not play games with this man. He was very humble and serious. Right away, he tried to intimidate me. He was testing me. He asked, "Do you know why you are here?" I said, "I came here to learn." I was not sure where I was. I only knew it was a sacred place, a holy place where intention was to find esoteric knowledge. "Do you know where you are?" he asked. "I know a sacred place where there is hidden knowledge." I said, "If you are here to learn, you cannot leave this place until you learn," he said. Inside, I felt the words, "to learn what?" Although I did not say anything aloud, the old man took a torch from the wall and began showing me images of both. This hallway of images still exists in ruins, but at a certain level of vibration, it still exists in prime condition. That was the vibrationary level I reached in my dream. It's getting good. I'm gonna read half the page. The same frequency can be found in another sacred sites in Greece. Teotihuacan and Peru. We could say that the frequency is the same as that of the crystals, although that is merely our way of understanding it. A vibration is a frequency of light and the memory of light. Everything is light. Light has a strong memory. To vibrate at the same frequency as anything that ever existed is to access it. I did not recognize the images the old man was showing to me, yet from the style of the glyphic figures I knew I was in Egypt. Also, the man himself reflected what I knew of ancient Egypt. In my mind came the words, "That man is a Hierophant." The Hierophant said, "You must tell the meaning of those figures on the wall before you can leave. Don't be concerned about food or drink, just try to understand." Then he left me alone. I tried to understand, but I had no idea of the meanings of these images. Days, weeks passed. At a certain point I felt a fear that I would never learn, and I could never learn. Even though I was in a trance, it could not save me because I had entered someone else's dreams. I was overcome by panic. Something changed very quickly and I surrendered to the experience. I was no longer in a hurry to leave. I felt it would be alright if I stayed there forever. Well, I do not know how long I struggled before I surrendered, but suddenly I started communing with the energy of the figures on the wall. Miracles happened. Surrendering is a way of being happy in any circumstance. I accepted that place as my new world. Everything began to make sense to me. I was no longer concerned about time. I just accepted the interchange of energy as the figures seemed to come alive. A state of communion is a state of vibrating at the same frequency. I was not using my reason. The Hierophant returned, and I was sure that I knew the meaning of the figures, and I wanted to tell him. I felt calm, but he just nodded and said, "You may go." This was another test. I was not allowed to ever say what I had learned. When I woke from my dream, all the group were already awake. They had been waiting for me for a long time. I shared my vision with them. Each person shared his or her dream too, and I wrote it down in Sarita's book of life. Later, Sarita burned the book. Wow, it is getting juicy. So that's it for today's video. This video is going to be really long, so hopefully I can upload it right now.